starts in an institution aggravates the level of risk, further diminishing the level of resilience. However, taking timely precautions can reduce this significantly, and thus understanding vulnerability is essential in moving towards risk reduction, identification, and preparedness. The need of the hour is to address the institutional risk assessment and mitigation while simultaneously creating a culture of being prepared. Mitigation measures for reducing risk, especially in response to earthquakes and fire hazards in campuses, can be beneficial in preventing the potential threats arising from structural vulnerabilities. There are unprecedented events that cause much damage to the institutional infrastructure. We all remember the blazing fire in a coaching center in Surat in 2019, which claimed many innocent lives. Thus, to improve existing risk assessments, institutions need to redefine their roles and responsibilities as academic stakeholders. In this regard, Miranda House is committed to creating safe institutional spaces. Keeping the vision of the institution, CESDM, in collaboration with NIDM, welcomes you to the 3-day online training program on disaster resilient infrastructure of institutions, with focus on earthquake and fire. The primary aim of the program is to identify various risks and vulnerabilities in and around Miranda House and plan for its preparedness and mitigation. There will be presentations, discussions, and group activities for emergency planning, which would enhance our capacities to be more prepared and resilient. Without much further ado, I would like to invite our principal, Ma'am Professor Vijayalakshmi Nanda, to give the welcome address. And I would additionally, words will fall short of what all ma'am has done and what all ma'am means to the center and us, but I would still try and give a brief introduction. Professor Vijayalakshmi Nanda is a professor in the Department of Political Science, Miranda House, and is currently the principal of a college. She received her PhD from Center for Political Studies, JNU, New Delhi. Her research interests include gender, political theory, and human rights. She is a published author with numerous books and articles to her credit, both of national and international repute. She is also the recipient of ICSSR Doctoral Fellowship and the Delhi University Vice Chancellor's Teachers Excellence Award in 2017. She is currently working on the issues around declining child-sex ratio, sex selection, gender, policy, and governance. She is also the general editor of Shakti Books, a series on writings on gender issues. She is also a member of the Advisory Committee on PCPNDT Act of the Government of NCT of Delhi. Further, she has traveled extensively, the experiences of which are reflected in her academic and research pursuits. I would invite you, ma'am, to please give your welcome address. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ruchi. And thank you to the CESDM program that is being organized here. On behalf of Miranda House, I would like to welcome our fellow collaborators, our advisors, our guides to this program, NIDM, Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. In terms of NIDM, I think we would like to give our welcome and also our gratitude to Sri Taj Hassan, who is the Executive Director of NIDM, and I'm sure he will join us at some point of time in the program. But our greatest gratitude and our appreciation goes to Professor Chandan Ghosh, Professor and Head, Resilient Infrastructure Division, National Institute of Disaster Management. His able guidance has helped us think of a center where none existed. And I believe that we are able to take this forward also because of another very important member of the NIDM, Dr. Garima Agarwal. Many of these ideas came in through conversations, through an understanding of how we should collaborate, how we should join hands, because disaster is something that affects all of us. But somewhere along the way, when we think of collaborations, we think separately and we think of territoriality. So I must say NIDM has taken us further on this path. But words again will fall short when I talk about the academic guidance, the kind of understanding that Professor Tirashri Ghosh, professor in the Department of Environmental Studies and our former governing body member, who actually initiated this program with us. So I think This program came from conversations about wanting to do good, about wanting to do research, about wanting to bring about resilience, not just of Miranda House, but what we could learn together as an institution located in Delhi, and understanding the importance of resilience, understanding the importance of risks and vulnerability associated with the institution, and going beyond that for the state as well as for the country. So I would like to welcome all of you who are here with us and who have guided us on this path. I think I am not sure whether I will be able to welcome everyone, but I think the members who would require a separate welcome would be Professor Jayashree Jetwani, Senior ICSR Research Fellow, Dr. Rakesh Arya, Center for the Study of Regional Development from JNU, Dr. Hari Kumar, Regional Coordinator and Head, Geohazard Society, Dr. Pankaj Kumar, who's from the Department of Geography, Delhi University, Mr. Aditya Pratap Singh, Deputy Commandant, NDRF, Dr. Amod Saroj, who is also a senior resident. And of course, I can see here Dr. Aslam Parvez, the Deputy Executive Director of ADPC Bangkok. So we have an international, branch here. So like I said, we are not only related to the local, but to the national, and finally to the global, because disaster resilience is necessary for all of us, and we need to learn about it together. My gratitude again to the conveners, Dr. Rakhi Parijat, Dr. Rekha Kumari, Dr. Saloni Bahari, and to the organizing team, Shailendra, Richi, Ankita, Surbhi, Vimla, Priyanka, Shipra, and Prafulit. My words fall short in the way they have creatively managed, and they have overcome a number of disasters to bring about risk reduction in every sense of the term, and create a space which is enabling and which frees us from vulnerability, not just in terms of infrastructure, but also in terms of creating an enabling space within the institution. So I must say again, welcome to all of you. I look forward to a learning experience. Miranda has only a win-win situation here. We will be learning together, and we will be creating a risk reduction, especially focusing on earthquake and fires, and hope we will be able to contribute to the larger community in University of Delhi. Thank you so much, and I look forward to a learning experience here. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for always encouraging us and motivating us to do better. Thank you for your kind words. On that note, I would like to invite Professor Chandan Ghosh to say a few words. Before that, I would like to give a brief introduction about Professor Chandan Ghosh. Professor Ghosh has been serving NIDM, Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India, since July 2006 as Professor and Head of Resilient Infrastructure Division. He is a trained civil engineer with a PhD from IIT Kanpur and Doctor of Engineering from Ibaraki University, Japan. Previously, he has also served as faculty at IIT BHU and IIT Jammu. Professor Ghosh works in the areas of earthquake geotechnology, reinforced earth, seismic microzonation, ground improvement techniques, geosynthetics, and bioengineering measures for sustainable development. He has devoted more than 30 years of his career in UG and PG teaching, research guidance, development of teaching tools, and training modules for engineers, architects, and town planners. He has published more than 135 papers in reputed journals and conference proceedings. As recognition to his seminal contributions, he received Leonard Prize for the Best Doctoral Thesis in 1993, CIDC Karma Award 2013, IGS Sri H.C. Verma Golden Jubilee Award in 2013, and Lifetime Achievement Award 2019 from Indian Geotechnical Society Delhi Chapter. Sir, please, if you was, the floor is all yours.
Okay. So, thank you. So it is a very auspicious occasion, ma'am. Vijay Lakshmi Nanda, ma'am, you have really brought such a excellent occasion here to make things happen like that under your leadership, and as well as Professor Ghosh from Center for Environmental Studies and Disaster Management, which we know that you have been working and uniting all together in this area, and also have to have some say collaborations with NIDM and constant discussion. Dr. Garima Agarwal, she is on travel to Shimla to conduct a face-to-face training program along with our junior consultant Sres Divedi. So they will be there for 3 days, but they will be connected online. And on behalf of NIDM, I would like to say that on behalf of our Executive Director, Taj Hassan, and I welcome all the participants, and especially welcome to Dr. Aslam Parvez from say Bangkok, where he is always with us and always an inspiration for any program that we do, that he is always present and along with a lot of international experience to share with us. And in this, especially the topic that I would like to say that as mostly from the academics, and our main thrust here for especially after COVID has given us a momentum to come forward with the young generations who are undergoing many courses and seminar and writing papers. So it is main aim for NIDM in the last 2.5 years is to reach to the academics so that whatever training or whatever development that taking place in and around the world in the area of earthquake and fire safety, let it be germinated into the minds of the students, and especially in the institution like we have taken in this program, Miranda House as an institution par excellence for more than 6 years. They are the #1 college, more than 6 years, #1 college in the country. And so in that case, the kind of physical program that we had first time in between COVID, whether it is there or not, now also we don't know whether it is there or not, but still we are maintaining a balance that let it come, but let us go forward with our aim to reach to the mass through an educational institution. And for that we are fortunate from NIDM that Miranda House has come forward and under the leadership of Madam Vijay Lakshmi Nanda. And as far as just I would not add, because one thing is Dr. Aslam Parvez is going to speak in detail about the international experience. Just only I want to bring insight to that. While the program started, I want to show one of the bottle that I have been keeping. I wanted to show that how Delhi is vulnerable, and especially Yamuna and surrounding part. So this is the kind of experiment that I would like to show in 1 minute of time. But you can see these are Yamuna sand, and this is Coca-Cola bottle, Coca-Cola or whatever bottle, 2-liter bottle. It is there in my room, and number of papers also published on this only to the international things, that what it does. It is this is Yamuna sand, and one thing here, this is water, simply plain water. So what is the main trouble for Delhi? That earthquake. But what earthquake does? It shakes the ground, and when it shakes the ground, and especially in the Yamuna and surrounding area, even Gurgaon, Noida and all this area, the kind of soil that we see, they are very much sandy silts. So this is a Yamuna sand and loose sand. And we have gone into 10 meter, 20 meter below, 30 meter below. In fact, wherever metro is going, they are going even 50 meter below that what is the kind of soil strata. But majority of our buildings, their foundation are generally limited to 2-3 meter only. So this sand, you can see up to 10 meter depth, such kind of sand, which we have taken in this bottle, and checking that what will happen to the sand. Now, from the basics of things, you see that this one, if I make something like this, this is already compacted. If I give some vibration like this is already compacted. So when this is already compacted, if earthquake comes, then this sand is not going to collapse again. But what happens? Yamuna sand is very loose. So what I'm doing, this is a building kind of things, a model that I have made. This is a building that's standing on the sand, which is already compacted. But you know, if I make this one, and make like this, and without any earthquake vibration or anything, if I keep this one, and you can see that the building is standing, and you can see that, and I have not given any kind of vibration, but I'm giving a vibration like this, like an earthquake. You see that what movement that it is causing. What you saw? One of you can speak. What you saw, that building is going down.
Yes, we saw that.
Did you saw?
Sinking,
Did you see?
yes.
And some of these underground utilities like pipeline, sewage line, drainage line, these are all underground because we have many things. Even underground metro is also there. They are lying within 10 meter, 20 meter. So due to this kind of simulated vibration, underground pipelines are going to come up and overground buildings are going to come down. This is what is going to happen to our buildings when earthquake comes around 6 or 6.6 magnitude or above. So I think in the student, when we know the basic physics or basic science that we know, we shall be very happy to introduce such kind of things and vibration or such kind of simulation model, physical model, where it will attract more attention to the problem of ground we cannot change, but we have got the technology to change the ground, modify the ground, improve the ground, so that even if earthquake comes, it will not disturb our building. So that is a kind of mitigation or resiliency that the main theme of that, especially in case of earthquake. And we have several such kind of physical models are there, where we can create an earthquake, we can recreate like whatever past earthquake happens in the world in a shake table, and we check our buildings, whether it is 2-story, 5-story, even in Japan, they do even up to 7-story, 8-story building. They check that whether it is resilient or not. So just only because we'll discuss these things on the last day, more about these things, that whether we are resilient or not, how much prepared we are, and then we'll see that then we can check our health or our condition right now. So without adding much, I would like to say that let us inculcate things that whatever is happening in and around us, let us say that it is God gifted or anything, let us not, because we have to live in this earth. Then when we have to live in this earth, it is something like that. Long back, when it is raining, we use raincoat or wind cheater or something, or take with the umbrella, so that we can save ourselves. Otherwise, we will get cold or another thing. So when earthquake we cannot change, earthquake will happen, and we are living here, whether it is in institution or in our residential or industrial area, they are going to be affected. So in that case, when they are going to be affected, then in the school, colleges, or among the people, that you say how much vulnerable you are. So this is a Yamuna sand, and which is going to face the same kind of trouble as many as time that I want. The same thing is going to be happening. Same thing is going to happen here, which means we believe in some experiment when it is repeatable, when under same conditions it is giving the same kind of result. This is what we learned from the basics of the physics and science. I'm doing it again. Now you do not see any of the underground utility here. Do you see any kind of ball here, colored ball at the base? No. So when I'm giving such kind of things, you see they are coming up. You saw? They have come up, 2 of them. Which means all the pipelines that which is going underground where the sewer is lined, they are going to come up because sand is very loose. When we make the thing, this is the loosest condition of the soil. So up to 10 meter in Delhi, Noida, everywhere soil is in loosest state. they are surely going to develop such kind of phenomena for the building that we are living. So in that case, what kind of foundation treatment that we have to do? For that, we can take forward those kind of things, strengthening and other things. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I must say that it is always a delight to listen to your ideas and innovative approaches. And thank you for explaining so well the importance of experimental learning, experiential learning, and initiation of a dialogue of this nature, especially amongst the youth. And on that note, I would like to call upon a very important pillar of our center, Professor Tirashri Ghosh, to say a few words. Professor, ma'am, are you there? Ma'am, can't
Ma'am
see
is
you.
there, definitely.
Yes,
Okay. Yes.
yes.
Ma'am, just a few words for your introduction. Professor Tirashri Ghosh earned her PhD degree in ecotoxicology from Vishwa Bharati University, Shantiniketan, followed by a postdoctoral research from Netherlands in the area of wastewater management using non-conventional methods. In the year 2000, she was the recipient of prestigious DART Fellowship and attended a graduate program on water technology at the University of Applied Sciences, Sunderberg, Germany. Back home, she initiated major research in the area of environmental pollution and health. And in the year 2003, she joined as a faculty in the Department of Environmental Studies, University of Delhi. She has been the project coordinator of a number of sponsored research projects, and one of her major research contributions has been the preparation of carbon footprint map of Delhi, which has been presented at the Copenhagen Summit in 2009 by the State Chief Secretary. She has also been the collaborator of National Air Quality Monitoring Program, SUFFER, since Commonwealth Games 2010. Being a teacher and a researcher, she has been continuously trying to mobilize community on environmental issues and sensitize them as to how their simple and effective lifestyle changes can help them to attain better quality of health and life. Ma'am, the floor is yours. We are waiting to listen to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think ma'am has done her job. Chandanda already discussed about the issues. Here, as a teacher, here not as a scientist, I'm telling you, whenever I was doing research on pollution health, it was really biting me about the insensitive way that we are handling the problems and the students' unawareness. That was big challenges I found because I'm not an engineer, but I'm as a scientist and as a teacher, I found that there's a huge knowledge gap between the policymakers, the technological people, we teachers, and the community. So some way, this is the one step I'm really happy when I approach, maybe God has sent me to Miranda. I always think that way. I was trying hard to do the job in my department because I belongs to this environmental studies. But pollution health was already a new topic when I joined 2003. Then I found it's a big challenge for me to start disaster because no disaster quotient in Delhi University, being such a top university, it was biting me. It was feeling sometimes ashamed from my side that we are failure to do something. When I go to Jamia or I go to Genu and I found they are having, so I'm feeling frustrated. I'm telling you very bottom of my heart. So when I fail, then I found good partner because anything, we are not doing very big thing, but it is the starting of journey. And I found if we cannot make a change with policy level also, at least our awareness part, capacity building, that also be a big footprint from our as a side from the DU, because DU is the largest university and we are having so many people are there whom we can teach basic information. Why today I appreciate एक तो है प्रोफेसर madam was principal, madam was finally came as a principal. I'm so happy because this any program when we initiate we need a good team leader. After those I was little bit hesitant because there was a confusion. Now I'm very happy that it will go on. I'll be there or not, that's not the issue. Leader is there and Chandanda is there. So I know Chandanda such a long time. We are working. We need that type of people. Those are having conviction to do something, and that two people are there. So I'm not pillar. I may be the starter, But the pillar are both the people, I strongly feel, and the other people of the community of this center. So now, why, for the audience, I must tell you why it is important that it's not Miranda is offering or NIDM is calling you. Just see this year, which is very again of shameful for us, we have slipped to the 180th position in the environmental performance index. जितना भी हम लोग हाई टेक हो जाए, ये शर्म की बात है कि we are actually going down in environmental issues. So we are so literate, we are so educated, we are all political leaders, and countries are telling that India is a superpower. But EPI is telling different story. So as a scientist and teacher, it is hurting us. Where we are lacking, we should take the responsibility as a senior people. And second, just like the people of Delhi, those are participating. Delhi is a model of all problem. And just today the temperature is 40 to 43 degrees this time. So you can understand that it is an area of urban heat island, urbanization increase. So urban heat island position is creating such a huge problem. It's not only the problem of all the changes in the Mother Earth along with the diseases. So it's not the pandemic and corona which we have already gone through. We are going to face so many things. Heart attack increases, cardiac arrest with any age. Like right now, few days back, we found the popular singer died. The still thing we do not know the reason why he has died. So that means it can be cardiac arrest for anything. So any place it will coming out in any age. Last 5 years, fire broke out statistics I'm giving you. The 7th June, 2 fire broke out in Delhi. One is the place, it is Supreme Court. Another is also, it is in the case of Jamia Nagar. 9th June, 9 people in the Batla house died also. Then 11th June, Rohini. 12th June, it is also in the Karol Bagh. So it's an everyday incident. It's not now a history. We know that the cyclones are every day, it's affairs. So every season we are getting. So we have to, or kitna alert thing is, the climate and the people. If still we are sleeping, then definitely we cannot do anything for the society or community. So it's a high time we should listen to the NIDM people. All experts are here. So I think that some information say how we can change our lifestyle is a need of the hour. So this is the only thing I want to stop, because I have a lecture. So I maybe that time also I'll give some input. So thank you very much for all. So you are making my dream sustainably growing, and that I'm always there, still I'm here. And thank you, Dr. Aslam Parvez, to meet you here the first time. So this type of support we need to grow this baby. So we need all of your support for growing this baby. Thank you very
much. Thank you, ma'am, for your words of motivation and highlighting the significant challenges that urban space like Delhi faces, and also the significance of action and research that you highlighted so nicely. Thank you, ma'am, once again. It would be really unfair to proceed and not mention the support that Dr. Garima Agrawal from NIDM has given us. Unfortunately, because of a prior engagement, she could not be with us here. But nevertheless, I would want to say a few words into our introduction. Dr. Garima Agrawal is a senior consultant at the Resilient Infrastructure Division at NIDM. She has more than 18 years of experience in disaster risk management and has previously worked with UNDP India and has worked in several pioneering initiatives of Govt of India related to policy, planning, and international cooperation. She has also supported Govt of India in implementation of national programs and schemes on disaster risk management. She has been instrumental in implementation of disaster risk mitigation initiatives in Delhi. Academically, Dr. Agrawal is PhD in Geography from Delhi School of Economics, Delhi University, and has a Master's in Urban Planning from CEPT and Ahmedabad. She is also a published author with books and many articles as her laurels. She has been instrumental in the initiation of this program till the final execution, and I'm sure we are all grateful for her support. And on that note, I would like to start today's sessions, and I would like to call upon our first speaker of the day, Mr. Aslam Parvez. Thank you so much, sir, for being here with us. And To introduce Mr. Aslam Parvez to the audience, I would like to say a few words. Mr. Parvez is the Deputy Executive Director of Asian Disaster Preparedness Center, ADPC. Mr. Parvez has been working with ADPC for 12 years on multiple programs and projects of disaster risk reduction. He has represented ADPC at national, regional, and international platforms. Among other notable initiatives, he started the ADPC's private sector engagement, I Prepare Business Facility, and Post-Disaster Needs Assessment Initiative, Ready for Recovery. He has also served as the department head of Disaster Risk Management Systems Department until August 2017. Prior to joining ADPC, he has worked with the UNDP, WWF, and the Institute of Economic Growth in India. Mr. Aslam holds a master's degree in statistics. An alumnus of the prestigious Insan School and Aligarh Muslim University, he has over 24 years of experience in the Asia and Pacific and Africa on economic analysis, sustainable development, disaster and climate risk management. He has been involved in the formulation and implementation of large and medium-scale disaster risk reduction programs, including programs on community-based disaster risk reduction and integration of disaster risk reduction into socio-economic planning. I would now request Dr. Aslam Parvez to deliver her special address on disaster resilience and culture of the institution. Sir, over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ruchi. Introduction. I don't deserve that much. Yes, I have been very much part of the NIDM and its collaboration while I was in India, and of course for the last 17 years. I have always Chandan and my all colleagues in NIDM as and when they need. I still have my connections and my work in India. I closely work with currently with a number of state government that includes Himachal, Uttarakhand, Tamil Nadu, and Odisha. By way of a little more elaboration, yes, I represent in Disaster Preparedness Center. It is an international organization, and India is a member country. And a story that I can relate with Miranda House and the Center for Environmental Studies and Disaster Management, that 36 years ago, we were same as CESDM. In 36 years, currently we almost about hosting about 24 countries, 36 nationalities, and around programs and projects for $20 million. So I really congratulate and request Professor Nanda that your leadership for CSDM and the decision that you would make during your tenure would actually take CSDM much higher into the particular subjects. Thanks to Dr. Tirashri Ghosh as well. I have heard a lot about you. I haven't met. I do come to Delhi quite often, but just that very much limited to the National Disaster Management Authority and CDRI and other place. Very interesting topic, by the way. If you allow me to share my screen, if it is possible, I can just put a couple of slides, but I really wanted to have some discussion. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I think listening to Dr. Nanda and then my colleague Dr. Chandan Ghosh and then Tirashri Ghosh, 2-3 words I pick up, and I thought I will just little bit elaborate in the context of this online workshop. It perhaps would be quite helpful to some of you, those who really want to look at first the big picture. So I think I picked up the word urbanization and the context of Delhi that Dr. Ghosh mentioned. I heard and thought of talking a little bit of resilience and then of course infrastructure. These three things are important and quite linked to our day-to-day life. First and foremost, urbanization is something, a reality. And a key feature of 21st century, what we have seen or I saw. I lived in Delhi from 1989 to 2005, and from that Delhi to today, when I go there, is quite a change. And I think if I just say that in Asia, the way the urbanization growth is, one of the example actually is in Delhi, Mumbai, particularly. What we have seen now that these urban migrations and the large number of urban dwellers globally and of course regionally as well as in India has really created a number of challenge for us while also providing a lot of opportunity for livelihood and sustainable development. I think the most important thing here, and particularly in the context of education and education institutions, are that the kind of efforts being put into analyzing or documenting a particular issue, if those are converted into good policies by technology, data, and innovation, I think this will make the urban services that we generally talked. I certainly am looking at some of the degradation of our services, but I am not pessimistic at this moment. This is the price we generally pay for urbanization and development. On the other hand, I am also equally very sure, the way I have looked at many countries that I have worked, that if urbanization in India or in Asia, if done well, we can actually improve the health and living conditions as well as economic livelihoods while creating opportunities to achieve sustainable development. This is work I recently did for the Asian Development Bank. You can see slides moving, correct, Ruchi?
Yes, sir, we can see your
Yes, sir.
slides.
Yes, sir, we can see your slides.
I will be very fast, but I just wanted to relate. Very recently, I just did a work with Asian Development Bank, and perhaps some of you who are interested in knowing how resilient infrastructure currently is challenge as resilience. You should read this book. At one hand, yes, we are observing a number of incidences and occurrence of disaster increasing, but at the same time, a number of countries, including India, is putting a lot of efforts in resilience planning, and which is very important to ensure that the development gain that we achieve are not drained out. In terms of how we actually can make these things happen, either at our household level or we talked of an institution of a country, I think we have enough. But the difficulty for us has been in terms of quantification of the risk or the investment that is required to make certain infrastructure resilient. And perhaps we look at resilient infrastructure as the pivotal role in Delhi or in India or in Asia. What we would see that it actually help us accessing better services if we have good infrastructure. And you have seen in Delhi those who lived during those 90s and those who live in the era of metro, you can see at least one difference in terms of the commuting time for us to the office and come back. The second is more in terms of the key areas. I think what we are observing at this moment, that we have understood or invested a lot in terms of identifying risk or understanding disaster or climate risk, but the quantification has been very difficult. And for good policies, good public planning, it is important that the quantification of risk from the angle of vulnerable population is important. Equally important in terms of an asset creation is the prioritization of the infrastructure investment, because the kind of pattern that we see that for core infrastructure, The development cost is okay, but the kind of additional element to enhance resilience, I don't think that is still in India or in Asia we really look at very carefully, except for a few developed countries, besides Singapore or to the extent these days in Bangkok and Jakarta. We also are not looking at the subject of disaster resilience as an integrated or system-wide approach. It is quite fragmented. It is at a very silo approach, and different sectors, different units and different community of practice look at disaster resilience from their own perspective. I think the striking evidence in the last 20 years in India has been that the infrastructure development has been quite heavily financed. The important thing that we have to look at it, that how solutions which has been created for enhancing infrastructure can also be incentivized for developing resilient infrastructure itself. I'll just skip some of these slides. I'll just come to this particular point, and perhaps you would agree with me that at one hand, the requirement for development and infrastructure, but on the other hand, the population growth, and that's exactly where the problem in our country, India, lies. It's not that the intent are not right, but it is simply that at this moment we are in a very extraordinary period of the time where a demand for services is increasing, and we saw during the COVID time that some of the services were very much challenged. So I have 4 points to discuss with you. One is, when we are looking at resilience, first thing that envisage these scenarios, and we should not only look at a risk from what we can understand and see, but a number of it really helps us to look beyond what currently we are facing. I mean, I'm pretty sure that 10 years ago, exactly on this date of 14 June, may not be having a 43 or 41 degree or the kind of urban heat that we are seeing there. So the point is, there is a need to invest more in the development of the risk matrices, that why we actually face this kind of problem, and also to identify and stratify the vulnerable population, how each kind of risk being generated are affecting different type of population. And then, of course, what are the needs and the capacities. If we address this one, perhaps it will be a great contribution some of these global framework, and the one that we are talking, as you know, that the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction, the priority one is about understanding disaster risk. Second one, I think this is where I have been investing almost my entire career, is about what best can be done is at the local level. Talking about it in different name, from a community-based perspective to local action. But during 2020 to 2021, globally and India as well, we were tested just the way the COVID situation came, and it really exposed major fault lines and fragilities in the existing risk governance system. A number of the issues that could have dealt with the risk governance were simply not there. The other thing that I have seen, and perhaps you also may have seen, that just like having a good awareness about the risk does not translate into good decision making, which we call it risk informed investment and decision. It is important that if we have good risk assessment results, it must be transformed and translated into good urban planning, and then the investment. You have seen a number of urban planning structure coming up in and around Delhi, but when you look at some of the services, you will feel that disaster, it will really again test us for a number of reasons. The third one, which is most important, because without financing, without finding appropriate financing, both public and private, it will be very difficult for us to reduce climate and disaster risk. Technologically, we are very advanced, but at the same time, the risk financing mechanism, or how we manage our estimation of damage and losses, we still are on a very infancy stage. The last, that in the future, I think if we have to plan for a stronger, faster and inclusive, because stronger because of what exactly Dr. Chandan Ghosh shows, faster because the population and the urban needs are very quick, and inclusive because now we are much more diverse population within a particular geographical location, and that will put a lot of emphasis and a lot of pressure on future resilient infrastructure. But the good point at this moment is that as per a lot of statistics, more than 60% of the future infrastructure up to 2023 is still to be built. And this is where I quote a couple of my colleagues from the NDMA, that if we start doing it right from now, perhaps we would be able to reach to the resilience level that a country or a city like Delhi can withstand. As I said, while number of initiatives, number of projects, number of programs, and the leadership is providing a lot of inputs, but the cost of not doing actually is much riskier. And if you ever get the Arup report of 2050 scenarios, you will find that we currently have at a very critical stage of extensive degradation, both planetary and humanitarian conditions. And it is important for us now to address this through this infrastructure subject. This is the last slide, and as I started comparing between CSDM and ADPC, I just would like to conclude with a couple of points that we did also started with a very small training institute in 1986. But, and of course, half of the journey of ADPC, I have been here since 2005. I myself have seen that with partnership and programmatic approach, we are able to provide a large portfolio of disaster preparedness services in and around Asia. We generally work in Asia and the Pacific, but we do work a lot in Africa as well. This is the part that I just wanted to discuss with you, but coming back to the subject, that what is the best way of preparing for the future of Miranda House. And I understand that you already have your aerial mapping and everything. I actually looked at the typology from 1957 until now. If you look at that particular diagram, the way Miranda House has grown, it is the same story of Delhi, it is the same story of India, that we really have grown up in terms of our infrastructure very fast, and that is where the challenges has come, and the lack of services, the lack of basic access in Delhi, for example, is causing a number of disasters that we could have avoided. I think Dr. Ghosh already mentioned the number of fires or number of other things. But the basic point is that the forthcoming earthquake would never let us even more than 20 seconds to understand what's going to happen. It is better for us to start preparing for tomorrow, and the best for my side is that investment in the infrastructure resilience will be the key. With this, I'll just stop here, but thank you very much for this opportunity. I will continue to be in this program, and at any point of time, if you want to interact, with me personally or about my organization, I'm more than happy to do. And a blanket offer to Dr. Nanda and Dr. Ghosh and through NIDM or directly, that we are more than happy to collaborate. Currently, we are actually collaborating with more than 100 universities around the globe in terms of preparedness for better response. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an informative presentation. And sir has nicely highlighted some of the important points in his presentation about urbanization, resilience, and infrastructure. Sir just mentioned that a better urban planning will help us to achieve resilience and to make a safe and a sustainable cities. Sir has also emphasized on quantification of risk in terms of vulnerable population. That is important. And Sir has also mentioned that investment in resilient infrastructure is what we need today. Once again, thank you so much, sir, for such an information. Now, I would like to invite our second speaker for today, Professor Tirashri Ghosh from Department of Environmental Studies, University of Delhi. Professor Ghosh,
I think Priyanka, you have already addressed me, so don't repeatedly.
No need to say
I'm here
few
as
words,
part of it.
because what I want to say that I'm sure that you need no introduction in Miranda House.
वो बात में वो ठीक है. अभी we can start. We are in the
I
topic
also
right.
want to acknowledge on this platform that you are the inspiration behind, the institution formation of the Center for Environmental
We are
Studies
doing
and disaster management. And you are the guide and
When
visionary.
I introduce myself, let's start the topic. I'm coming back to the
Okay, ma'am.
topic, and then
Okay,
you can
sure.
save your time.
So,
little
ma'am,
bit, and we can have a
definitely,
discussion.
Okay, I will love to invite you for your topic or your talk on indoor air pollution issues, challenges, and measures. Please, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you very much, Priyanka. Sorry, I think you don't mind because you are my student. I have any right, I can tell you. So
Sure,
thank you very much, Paul. And because this is a very important topic where we have to discuss more, and the presenters are here, so I think we want to discuss. Although my topic is indoor air pollution, which is not part of disaster and other thing, but we are interlinked in that part. So as the organizer asked me to do something, then I feel that my topic should be reality bites, something I'm going to show you after the indoor air pollution basic understanding. Try to show you the data of my study, which is recently I have completed the project from sponsored by Ministry of Arts and Science, and we are having a quest for making indoor air pollution as a guidelines. So in this case, at least the situation, because why you are going to listen our statement, why we are so much worried, you will get to know when you go to my little bit data what I'm sharing for your understanding. So in best of this thing, I feel my presentation is visible. Anyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, fine. So this is the topic what you have given. It's really a challenges, and there are no monitoring. I must tell you that in international level, when we think about two climatic zones, temperate and tropical, in temperate climate, people are staying more on indoor. So definitely they are studying and doing research on that aspect. So they are having some interesting information and they are making some guidelines, because unless you are having a quite organized database, you cannot have a guidelines or policy level changes. Our country having many challenges. One first challenge is that we are diverse in this case. We are having different economical categorization. We are having a different social structure. We all know that India calls as a ethnic diversity. So this is one of the reasons that not science, that our socio-economical classification creating a major problem in indoor air pollution guidelines. Because we are living in different type of houses, which is the biggest challenge, and we are based upon our own different lifestyle, we are creating different actually pollution emission. So why this question again coming back to us? Because earlier generation, like the generation still, we are the generation, last generation, not the Gen Z, that we are mostly in the outdoor, based on the outdoor activities. Right now in the urban city, mostly people are indoor. Even in case of rural areas or semi-urban areas, people are not very much in outdoor in nature so practices. They are also wants to remain inside the houses. And I think after post-pandemic, we are having a habit of staying indoor more. So this is right now a one question that are we safe? And when we are not having any guidelines, I think that part of the civil engineer people, all the people from building houses, they know that we are not having any guidelines. Whatever guidelines we are following for indoor, that is based upon the external guidelines gurus, so like the international guidelines. So there are many limitations. We cannot follow like blanketly the thing. So there is a very important need that what type of guidelines should be whenever we are going to purchase a house or where we are going to stay. So there's a very important need. And also we are having different season. This is one information already known that we, in the time budget sit in the study, that we are staying inside the building, 88%, then we are staying, if you're moving also within a vehicle. So if you're commuting, if you're living inside the office or house, everything in indoor, we are not in outdoor. So that is a budget, if you calculate, almost 70 to 90%. And it was already by WHO, it is proven that it's a rule of thousand. So if you're staying for a long hour within the houses, if you don't calculate the extra hour you're staying in office or at the late night, the movement, also you can get to see that your exposure is much, much higher than the outdoor. So that one thing we are never go with this. So we have a myth that we are safe. Now, already, Dr. Farvich have already asked about the urbanization. This is the biggest challenge right now. Whole world is, it's not only we are urbanizing, whole world is urbanizing. Now, if you go with the graph, till this graph shows that 2000, after 2000, almost 18 up, we are having that crossing, that urban population compared to the rural population is a global picture. Where if we feel the lower graph where we are having the statistics, there also we are getting the same thing, that urban population, obviously it is coming down and we are making the major challenges. Populations are decreasing. So we have to understand that focus, that urbanization process we have to limit by any way. But because the migrations are much higher nowadays in India due to the all economical condition or post-pandemic problems that we all know. So air pollution, basically two types, outdoor. We talk about more on outdoor. We never talk about indoor. And the study, what we get to see that inside building, transportation and outdoor, season has a big role in India or everywhere, because the season and India having a very the very particular seasonal classification based upon the IMD classification. So we are having 4 seasons, and because dilution or dispersion are based on any problem or as a pollutant is depending either on the air wind speed or wind velocity. Another is in the rainfall. So if we want to disperse the problem from the air, so we need 2 types of vectors. One is the rainfall or another is the wind. So based upon the rainfall, there's a 4 season: winter, pre-monsoon, monsoon and post-monsoon. Now, it is a cause we all understand the outdoor activity, the dispersion model. But when you talk about indoor, then there should be some other problems which can also influence the movement of pollution inside. So air tightness of the building, poorly designed air conditioning system, indoor sources of pollution, and also infiltration of outdoor sources of pollution. So it is very important. There is myriads of problems are there to control the changes of dynamic process of indoor air pollution. So quality of the building, today we all understand based upon the all study that actually whom we are blaming, that is the pollution source, this is not the major problem. Problem is the building where we are staying. First, we have to clear that concept. We need a good building to stay, well ventilated building to stay, and well microclimatic condition you have to create where we are staying. If we make this type of the different changes and understanding, our health will be much, much better. we always talk about, as we are not aware, so we are all the time blaming the outdoor pollution and the government, all the policies. But indoor, we are living, so we are creating problem. They are neither the government having any problems and neither the people are coming. So what type of changes we should do to make our indoor much, much healthier and livable? That is the call of our hour. So cooking, the smoking, whatever activity, any activity, washing, they are all part of origin of indoor air pollution. I'm not going for individually, but we all know that we are doing whole day we are doing activity. If we calculate the activity, we all know that how much we are having the rest hours and how much we are doing the activity. Positive activity definitely we need, and based upon the activity we have to change the indoor designing. Health, all this is already indoor air pollution already categorized as a top 5 environmental risk. As I was highlighting that we are going down. So if you're urbanizing, climate change is there, temperature is in a higher end, pollution where it is coming out, how can I expect that India will be in a better condition? So this is the right time when population is such a huge number, they need house. The residential sectors are the major one, not only the transport sector. Who is using transport? We are using transport. So transport sector is the contributing factor and domestic sector is the contributing factor. All the Supreme Court policies are giving the commercial sector and industrial sector for the changes. But we are not understanding our footprint, how we are damaging the environment. So this is a high time to understand the problem, and ultimately we are the receiver end of the all diseases. So that is also creating the medical cost for us, and ultimately the hospitals there's a health disaster which is happening. So if you're having long exposure, then you will fall on the COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or if you are having the another condition, emphysema or bronchitis. We all know that most of the city people are suffering because we are working with the hospitals, we are having the OPD data access. We found that most of the people, so from the small sensitive group, small child and elderly people to the normal community people, they are suffering in first the allergic response, then comes the asthmatic response, and then comes that emphysema, chronic bronchitis, ultimately COPD, and then lung cancer. If you're smokers, then it is increasing your problem more, and ultimately, so many COVID death also, already doctors have analyzed that it is only for the poor lung health in the big cities, because it has exacerbated the problems in a higher capacity due to the poor lung health. So this is one word we are trying to tell everyone, that we have to understand that some response of your body is coming under the category of sick building syndrome. So if your building is not good, which is, we all know that in the cost of money, when you are coming to a city, you are migrating to a city, the major problem is actually accommodation. So we all know that part, we are then compromising with our accommodation. So one is the traveling. So then you need a car. So you're increasing your exposure in the commuting system. And if you're having a house, then you are sharing with other people. So you are having a lower cost of the houses. Now, if you are having a very bad designing and the house without ventilation, then maybe you're pocket friendly, but it is going to be bigger challenges for your health. Like this type of illness are very often you are getting, that is the headache, fatigue, and irritation in eye, nose, throat, and shortness. So inadequate ventilation is the one of the major reasons. So whenever you are going for hiring a house or PG accommodation, this is the right time to find out the house. You can cut down your entertainment cost, whatever expenditure you are giving, rather than because you have to know that you are a vulnerable the species where you are exposing whole day, that accommodation can create a huge problem. So one of the major challenges is city like Delhi, because as I'm going to show you the data of city Delhi, so, and we all know that Delhi has all problem. One is the particulate matter, that is a PM10 2.5. We also monitored another ultrafine particle, that is PM1. There are also no guidelines. If you open up the Central Pollution Control Board outdoor air pollution guidelines under the NAM program, National Ambient Monitoring Program, we are having PM10 and PM2.5 guidelines, but we are not having any guidelines for PM1. But I will show you that that's the way we are now. So the Professor Chandan Ghosh already showed that our soil is loose. It is the composition and structure of the soil is creating major problem. The soil is aerosolized, so it is coming on the air. So loose soil is the biggest problem for us. We have to cover the land or soil by the grass. We are always talking about tree plantation. We are never talking about the ground vegetation, which is the need of the hour. The place like Delhi or the northern India, where semi-arid soil, the designing structure in landscape of the cities is also important to have a 3 layers of the canopy formation, shrub, and the grassland, because this only can trap the dust what is available. So we are having chemically they are different. They are having huge. We already studied by one of my student and your teacher, that is Priyanka, Dr. Priyanka Sharma, about this, that how the particulate matter and heavy metal enrichment is there. We got all sorts of metals available within because and the sources are already done. Another threat, because I'm not going in research data, but which is all are actually observation based data, which is not we are making any theoretical information sharing. Virusol, second part, virusol, as you know now everyone is understanding the virus. Virus is also part of virusols, and any smaller particle within the particulate matter, those are plant or animal origin or the microbial origin. So this is one of the major reasons for the indoor air pollution. Why it is so? Because we are doing water-based activities. We are bathing, we are washing the clothes, we are cooking, we are washing the utensils. Whenever you are having more moisture inside any built-up areas, you have a chances of growth of more microbial thing, and that is the virusols. If something is outside, then definitely they are not growing at the par of indoor, because indoor is a closed environment. Their humidity is more, temperature is more, and their growth will be much higher. Wherever in the outside, it will disperse due to the wind velocity and sometimes due to the temperature high and low. So natural source, any other all parts we know, but major problem is the anthropogenic sources. So landfill is part of our one thing, waste we are dumping. We all know the failure of our solid waste management. So you cannot clean air separately, neither water or the land. It is an integrated ecosystem. They are all giving us services. And if you really try to understand the services, then definitely you understand the problems. The size matters always. So like we talk about the aerosols 10, 2.5, now it is 1. Now we are growing, advancing our understanding. The problems are also coming up. Research never stops. So here in bioresource, major problem that if the sizes are small, then it is actually impacting your upper respiratory, then it is going to lower respiratory, ultimately at the end of your alveoli, the lungs. And this is the reason we have to know, like virus, why they are impacting the lungs, because the size matters a lot. The size is small, and as a result of this, the virus is going to the inner part of your lungs, where it is not. So if you're having a problem in upper respiratory, then you can cure the upper respiratory syndrome. But once the things are going to your lower respiratory, then it will be a problem. As I told you, indoor pollution also depending on the meteorological parameter, because if you have a windy air, you are opening your windows or doors, so there are exchanges there. But if the outside the pollutants, like the winter months, it is stable weather, the pollutants are hanging on the big cities, then definitely the exchange will be much higher from the outdoor to indoor. But the time we are having the summer months, when the heat of the temperature will high, one air will move away from the place and taking away the pollution. So maybe indoor will be much problematic than the outdoor. So Only monitoring outdoor and knowing about outdoor is not sufficient for your existence. We have to know indoor-outdoor relation between us. So this is a building. If you take a structure everywhere from all the sides, so outdoor air pollutant is one source which is coming inside, but we have to understand the material building. What I think Professor Chandan Ghosh is the right person to discuss. All the materials matters a lot. What type of design, what type of the material we are using at a building. So that is very important. And then what type of cooking fuel we are using, what type of the fuel for the cooking also we're using, and the for means the oil also we are using. So all sorts of problems, cleaning agent we are. So we have to understand our activity based the problem we are creating. Where I found huge knowledge gap we are having, that what type of things we are, and we have to be very serious on the thing, because we are residing in a place where small children in a different occupation, the density we are staying in one room, it can be sharing apartment, it can be the single room apartment. So once you are increasing the number of the occupancy, then you are doing more challenge to your body. So these are all chemicals are coming from all sorts of things what we are using inside the room building. So this is the high time we have to understand, change our consumerism. So which we generally call green consumerism, because if you don't know what type of things are creating your problem, so then definitely it is creating your persistent problem, and no one can solve the issue. With blaming also government, we cannot solve. So green consumerism, green marketing is needed. I think it is a call to the generation of this, the progeny, those are not have started in this area, that they have to leave. Maybe we will go, but you are going to live for the long. You are the young progeny of this country. You are young India, we call. So if you don't understand what to purchase, you will be blind on your consumerism. Then definitely it will be a big problem, threat for the pollution, and pollution will ultimately bring the disease. Sick building syndrome having generally monitored with 4 criteria, not all the parameters: CO2, which by any electricity consumption, VOC, volatile organic compounds, which are also from different cleaning and cosmetic and many things where it is coming out, aerosols, as I told you, and 10.2.5 as a marker for dust presence. And there are all limits are there. There's limits I have like one is the ASAR, that American Society of Heating and Refrigeration, Occupational Safety and Health, and National Ambient Air Quality Standard. Again, I'm telling you, this standard are from the international standard. So this is first coined 1970, and it's known as tight building syndrome. So it only focusing on how much the design can change and make your life better. And once you are coming out from the building, poor design building, and you will be in the exposed area, this symptoms are for certain time, and you can come back to the comfortable phase. But if you remain for a longer duration, ultimately you are heading for the respiratory dysfunction. So as I'm showing you that low air exchange, heart of the problem, but there are other problems like temperature, humidity, noise. These are all part of the sick building syndrome, poor building design, and which are creating your stress. And targeted areas from the upper to lower respiratory, along with eyes. Eyes are, I'm doing one study with ENT specialists and also the rhinitis. I found a huge the relation with the SBS and the rhinitis. And I'm going to show you some symptoms and survey from the epidemiological study from within Delhi University. So I'm just showing a fact file of the Delhi University agglomeration, not go so far as a case study, which I've done. Here we have taken 3 types of houses. R3 is the professorial house, which is a high economy class. R2 is the clerical house. And R1 is the low economy, the 4th class staff. And MC is the mixed cluster, which is the Malkaganj and Vijayanagar area, where official, the mixed cluster is the terminology by the land use pattern, which where the residential and commercial are allowed to work. So that means you are having the commercial activity along with your residing, so residential. It's a double whammy problem on that area. I just show one or two sites. So we have created that air quality index of that area. We have calculated, as you all now aware of the AQI through the program of National Air Monitoring in India. We found that, interestingly, the fourth season, all the site, if it is a Malkaganj or Vijayanagar, if it is within the same Delhi University campus, the three houses are showing the red color, the severe and very poor color. Only month, that is the monsoon month, when you are having a good rainfall, only that was the safe for us, good or satisfactory. So that means we have to understand that what we are claiming, or we are making a hypothesis that if outdoor is highly polluted in Delhi, so indoor cannot be safe even for us. So it is proven that if it is there, then all months outdoor is so much polluted in this area of Delhi University. Now coming back to the indoor study, where we have done all the winter, there's a fourth thing I try to pack up in this data. That is, one is the seasonal data. Winter months everywhere is the topping the list. This is one thing. So with that, we all know why we are that time asking that if you're also having the athletes or you are doing exercise, don't go outside. So neither your indoor is safe nor your outdoor is safe. Everywhere the winter months pollution. How then why it is happening? If you're doing the same activity whole season, then why we are having that? Means there are exchange infiltration from the outdoor to indoor. Now how you can prevent? By some coping strategy, or you have to make some beautiful design of the house where infiltration or leakage will be less on the air. So it's not possible by putting the cloth or putting something like the Jugaru technique, which we feel that the things are not coming. Second part is there that the 2.5 and 10, that both the thing is showing that they are crossing the limit. We all know the limit is 50 to 100 microgram per meter cube, and it is crossing all the years. So we are never safe, neither outdoor. So why will we cry for the outdoor? We have to understand, we have to now call for indoor also. And there we must need some building designing regulation. We don't know. We are going and giving our whole life's money, earning money to the builders, and ultimately we are living not in a heaven, ultimately which will create a huge problem in our life. I'm showing you this data because I think when I presented my data to ministry recently, they asked that you show us for 2.5, as it is a guidelines, how much it is changing. So we can see that changing of 10, 2.5 and 1 is there. जिसके बारे में पता ही नहीं है, we do not know anything about 1. And 1 is the very small ultrafine particle what we are inhaling without having any the preventive measure from our body or something. Even we are wearing the mask, 1 is so smaller, so it will go inside. So indoor-outdoor ratios we are monitoring. Many theses came up from my lab. We just try to know when the problems are from indoor origin, when the problems are from outdoor origin. This is one slide I just wanted to show you in 3 structure. We found, as we expected, December, January, February, the red are when the value is above 1, which is indoor origin. When it is below 1, that is the outdoor origin. So we can get to see that how much the problems in every house during winter months are indoor origin. Because we are having fire, any type of biomass burning, it depend upon the lower economy, but we are having also heating. We are closing the door. We never have circulation. We never open the fan. So we are just making a closed chamber of all problem, and we are feeling safe there. So indoor guidelines and pollutant levels, if we compare with the international, we found that it is everywhere the problems of types of the pollutants are making all season in a higher level. So we have to seriously look at the lifestyle pattern and what type of consumerism we should do, and mostly the circulation. And first thing is the designing of the houses, where we must have the ventilation and circulation based upon our economic class and the designing aspect. When we when there was a question was there that is my biosols are pathogenic or not. When we tested, we found that presence of pathogenic bioresol at all the houses. So if you're having the respiratory illness, it is because that is a call from the doctors I'm working with the UCMS GTP hospital. So that what type of pathogens are there, we can relate with the disease we are getting from the OPD data. And we found most of the cases. And we are now going on with the more on the genetic part and metagenomics part. But the thing is that, and basic understanding shows that we are having the pathogenic bioresols in every houses. So we cannot blame only the low economy, they are not staying hygienic or they are not staying properly. We have to think about the higher economy class also, they are also having. Then we go further to find out the epidemiology and the survey of the people. We have done a survey of almost 2,000 people within the university campus and almost 400 houses. The getting permission in the indoor areas are very difficult because you have to take a consent from them and consent from, so sometimes it was difficult. But still we tried, being a university people, they have allowed our student to do the job. We found if you talk about the adult SBS, we found the headache, itching, they are all very much dominant. Malaise, that is discomfort, and poor sleep and forgetfulness. These are very abundant in the response whenever we are asking through the questionnaires. And then sometimes they're taking different medicine also, have gone through the prescription. In the small children, we found the headache, stuffy nose, irritated eyes, and dry throat. These are very common symptoms of them on the SBS. So it's proven that it is the buildings are not, we all know about university buildings. They are also made in a very 30 years old or 40 years old. And so we need a good, proper building in Delhi University also. We are serving for the university, so there is a need for this thing. When we are going for the other respiratory disease, and we found that, okay, their response from the questionnaires are there, they are suffering. We have gone to battle chest also to get some data, but then we found that we thought that, okay, let's have the spirometry test, which is a test known as pulmonary function. They will tell you how much damage your lungs already, which we always do in different the society, community also. Even the doctors are also doing before winter and after winter if they're interested. This is followed that this spirometry follow the classification of the gold classification, international classification, where based upon the air inhaling capacity and exhaling capacity, जिसको हम लोग प्राणायाम बोलते हैं और कपालभाति बोलते हैं, we are inhaling air and we are exhaling air. Now, if your lung is actually expansion is happening, or if it is cannot throw back the air, then definitely your damage has started. So if your lung capacity, I just show you, if 80% or greater, your lung is just like there's a terminology, FEB1 and other thing. I'm not going to the technical terms. If the picture will come up from the, there's a thing like this is the picture. The person is doing the inhale and there's a mouthpiece. And then the picture will come of your lungs in the laptop. And so you can get to see the capacity of the lungs here. And if it is 80%, then it's a normal. If it is below 60%, then definitely it is not good. So if a boy or student like all of your age of 20s and 30s, if their lung is going, we are definitely taking care of all the data of your BMI, your lifestyle activities, your smoking habits. So then also we try to find out if you're having the lung is below 60% or very less to 70%, then it is a worrisome. So you have to be with the doctor's advice. So we created this type of survey. Just follow the below table where we get to see. Interestingly, it was really puzzling for us that we expected that a low economic class, that is R1, they will definitely fall off this thing because they don't have a good nutrition, not good lifestyle, and their living standard. But we found the COPD prevalence is high in the higher economic class. That was quite surprising. When I was discussing that part, we get to know that was your habits of closing your doors, because for the dust, avoiding the dust and avoiding the sound or pollution, any type of pollution we are so scared of, we generally close the door. So no ventilation. When you compare with the three category of the houses within university, best was the clerical residential, because when they're cooking, they're opening the front door, and because we have monitored during cooking, before cooking, and after cooking. So we found that they're opening the front door and the back door of the houses. So they are mostly opening. Only problem with the higher economic class, we are not opening. So this is the high time we have to know that in between of our lifestyle, we have to make some changes of our pattern, that we have to close the windows or single door, the channel of your air passing channel. You have to use different coping strategy, like anything you are asking for HVAC system or HEPA filters. If when we are having money, if you are using your chimneys, don't immediately switch off after your cooking is over. You have to understand it takes time to be the pollution to get out from the situation. It needs a more hour. So generally for the thinking of electricity, we do this thing. So need of the hour to have our own national guidelines that I'm looking for, and I need all of you to come forward to do more studies. We are trying hard. We have already adapted something for the government. We have given to them, because we are susceptible respiratory and cancer, and non-cancerous risk is coming out. So if you have to live, and already there's a report, as we all know, that Delhi people are dying 7 years before than the normal life expectancy. So then why we are again creating problem for us? It has been done, and we have to paint more green in our life everywhere, not only outside, inside the indoor also. So there are ample plants. So I feel that urban greening is the call of the hour. We have to do every side, every corner, because they are the buffering zone in the road. They are the buffering zone inside the room also. And different types of plants. It's not a plantation doesn't mean tree. Plantation mean ornamental plants, because ornamental plants are actually reduce the VOCs. So we need more and more this type of thing. So I feel all intersectoral coordination is needed. What was actually the previous speaker also told, we need urban-rural model. We should not have an Indian model. We must have the city model and the semi-urban models, and private, public and private partnership, and where I feel college can take care of all the things. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for such an enlightening presentation on one of the most important issues that we need to address today, that is the indoor air pollution. Ma'am discussed some of the very important points about indoor air pollution. Ma'am pointed out that we need guidelines for indoor air pollution, and most importantly, we need to consider socio-economic classification in our guidelines. Ma'am also explained that major reasons for inferior indoor air quality are building structure, design, and low ventilation rate. Ma'am also highlighted that indoor air pollution leads to sick building syndrome. It is a huge implication on human health and can lead to different diseases like COPD, bronchitis, and other respiratory dysfunction. The most important takeaway from ma'am's presentation is that if we want to improve the indoor air quality, we need to improve the building design. We have to practice something to increase the ventilation rate in our houses. And most importantly, we need to grow indoor plants that can improve air quality. Once again, I would like to thank both our speakers today for such a thought-provoking session. Now, we will move to the discussion session. I request all the participants that if they have any questions from our speakers, they can write it in the chat feature of our Google Meet platform. I will be reading out their questions to the speakers, and then our speakers can answer them.
Okay.
Yes, I think.
Very, very, very nice presentation, detailed presentation about what is inside the building. Rather than we take care of macro aspects of the building, concrete, reinforcement, and what not, it goes on in that also. But while living in a building and looking at this syndromes, that sick building aspects, as well as solution that with the plants that which has become now urban way of life, now getting ourselves balanced. In the meanwhile, you have also shown some of the tests which indicates that, especially in the case of COVID, which we have come to know that the people living in the high class area, highly economic area, one of your conclusion that you have shown, they became more vulnerable to COVID attack. Then the people that who are living in the area where not much ventilations are there, not much say water or hygienic things are there. So in that respect, and also you have mentioned that living in urban city like that, where so many like Delhi or this area, our life expectancy and number of heart attacks or so many things that happening at all ages, they are giving a lot of cautions to us that how vulnerable we are. So in this, especially, I would say that it is a very engrossing presentation that you have made, and with the detail as well as measurement and taking a case study and showing that which are the parameters, what are the international parameters. When this kind of thinking like 1970s onward, people started taking this, and more important that you have shown about the PM1, that which generally we don't measure, but there are some sensors now available, like LoRa based sensors or IoT based sensors are there, which can measure PM1 also. And also some kind of sensors are there even inside the room, which doesn't need any kind of electricity or anything. It can measure the carbon dioxide, because you have also shown that when carbon dioxide becoming more than 1000, then it is giving lots of health trouble. And one of the studies also noted during COVID also, while in our houses where proper ventilation, of course, we don't expect even these days, except in high class cases. But whenever carbon dioxide, say ppm is going beyond 1000, then one study or few studies took note that virus attack or that COVID became more prevalent in that environment when carbon dioxide concentration is going more than 1000. But more such research studies have to come in, and they are coming also. But one thing is that like building has to be constructed well, where we know that builders are builder and we are civil engineer, and we do not go into those micro detail except looking at that what is the impact of earthquake on the building and how it is going to resist it. But inside building and outside building, the kind of database as well as observations that you have made, it is really, I should not say excitingly important, but it is very concerning things that which we don't take care. So overall, now what is your observations, especially on the people living in the JJ colony or other area, where probably none of the standard, like whether it is water, drinking water, or whether it is air quality, whether it is roads, or even nothing is prevalent there. But even then they are surviving. But what you said, that average age, lifespan has become lesser for the people living in the urban environment. Would you like to explain in that regard a little bit?
Thank you, Chandan. Actually, initially I was having the model for whole Delhi and Delhi around urban agglomeration. But it was suggested by the ministry expert that you only take first one area with a socio-economic class difference, because we are having myriads of diversity. So we are having spatial diversity, we are having eco-geographical diversity, we are having population, economical diversity, and ethnicity diversity. So in one hand, if you take, so they suggested me to start with a model of Delhi University. I'm thankful for them. We need a in-depth information rather than horizontal information. So that it was first suggestion. I have not stopped. I'm going on with the study. And the major problem with proving indoor is a problem for health is a quite a big question. No one is going to accept. So we have taken a model of, first we have done one bioaerosols versus COPD, one PhD, rhinitis versus the bioaerosol. So one disease, one heat hypothesis, generally we call. So we have taken like disease versus problem. Now you have to prove. We have to trail the person from work area to the home. We are monitoring at home. We are monitoring at that. So this is one of the biggest challenge. So we cannot do with whole Delhi population. So we have to take samples. So we first tried to have the established patient. Like we created first work with one of my PhD student, where the COPD established patient we identified. Then we trailed them. How many times of exacerbation it's coming, which season it is coming, what are the things, and sputum and swab culture, along with the virusols having in their home or the places. It has proven that pathogenic organisms are there. First of all, ये सबसे बड़ा problem था कि you have to prove that the disease causing agent क्या है. So one thing, because the respiratory dysfunction, asthma can be for many things. So proving asthma is for your problem or outdoor problem, always it is the suspicion. Then what we have tried here, we have to filter out the smokers, non-smoker. We have filtered out the healthy people along with the sensitive people from the healthy people. We have targeted the PFT for the healthy people, जिसका कुछ problem है नहीं. उसके बाद भी the problems are there. What is their capacity? In general, the people of this age, so age is very important. Age of these students or the research scholars or ourselves, we are already in an age-related illness. Now we have to know the building-related illness. So one is age-related illness, one is the building-related illness, and then we relate with the activity of the people. So if it's an age-related illness, then it will be equal to the thing. So we have also done almost 3,000 survey. We have done the same place. 2 MD came to work with the asthma. So अलग-अलग disease को हम लोग अलग किए थे. Because it's not only biomass burning to blame with. We have to understand कि cooking fuel की भी एक आप 1 liter mustard oil कितना emission करते हैं. 1 liter sun drop also how much. So you have to change, if you have to really do the changes, because we are not doing electricity. We are all doing different types of fuel we are using at home. Now, LPG is going 1,000. So we found that they are using other biomass also. How they will survive? So reality is something different. Government is talking about something different. We have to relate with the problem. So if you really want a policy changes, then what are the areas whom to touch first? We cannot make a change in all, but we have to touch the part. Like mixed cluster area is a vulnerable area where people are living. वो आज कोई भी market areas हो, it should not be for, like हम लोग जैसे basement को ban किए हैं, mixed cluster areas के residential areas को हटाना बहुत जरूरी है, because people are vulnerable for them. Now people don't understand, it will be easier for them. So कौन सी country में है कि residential area and market area एक साथ रखा जाता है? So many things, they are still now addressed by that. Was the frustration I have. I'm going and telling them, when I presented the detailed data, there was a big silence from the ministry. बोला आपने इसको ड्राफ्ट करके दीजिए, हम लोग इसको ICMR भेजेंगे, इसका रिकमेंडेशन के लिए. That I'm preparing right. मेरे तरफ से I'm a small teacher or scientist, I can do that, but the real data जिसमें कोई हेराफेरी नहीं है, ना किसी को खुश करने वाले डाटा है. It's a real time data. I'm thankful to the Vice Chancellor or Delhi University, they have allowed and us to permission. State office सारे दिए हैं information. Now, like person like you, if you take my data, do something, make some more recommendation, because ये तो हमें अकेला के किसी भी काम नहीं है. It's an interdisciplinary work where I have a limitation. I go with the part of pollution. I have taken doctors to me with me. They are doing the disease part. Now it is part of civil engineers or the planner or urban development people. But this is the one other issue. So it is creating and killing the people. That is the time of the thing when urbanization increasing. ये बात खाली डाटा में नहीं रहना चाहिए, कुछ भी implementation होना चाहिए.
Yeah, very nice. In fact, very nice that you don't get frustrated, but you should be frustrated. Then only you can improve things. But one thing is that I can connect some of the things that other way going on, especially living in a building or in any ambience. Like we have the some authority that working in that, especially the electromagnetic radiation due to the Wi-Fi and other things, which are being now measured, even 4G or Wi-Fi and other things, and their health hazards are well recognized across the body. And we are concentrating mostly on advertising on the mobile phone that these are less, but in our mobile phone now we are putting some kind of chips here, some kind of chips that which are well recognized and scientifically it is accepted also in many industries, like this kind of chips here. Some companies are there and they are conditioning geopathic stresses and also electromagnetic radiation, which is regular sine wave or cosine wave, which is not, means scientifically when it is being explained to the doctor also about this kind of data that you have collected, then things will, acceptance will be there, because international guidelines are already there. It is only making a similar kind of guideline for our own country. But while such kind of chips are developed, it is, they have not yet made any adoption of these things in our BIS code. But these are all now being taken up by various industry, and also conditioning their industry and performance and process by putting such kind of chips, and also talking to this way over this telephone, that it is randomizing the things which we are familiar. So here it has got some explanation, and also they check that in a room or in a residential area or in an industry, they have got an instrument. You know, we always like the experiments, whether it is repeatable or not. So there are some geopathic stress, which are every 15 to 20 meter grid. There are some negative point. Now I am sitting this direction. And if I sit in this direction, there will be certain orientation changes in my mind, another thing, which they are able to check through that. It is called Laker antenna, developed in 1950s. And through that, they are conditioning the space. They are conditioning the space with these things, and then they are checking heartbeat and other things. So one thing is putting a scientific instrument in the house that we are living, and then checking that what is the heartbeat conditions, that is there over a period of time, is there any sizable improvement or there are not. They put some kind of chips also.
One study in Punjab University they did with rodent model. With the rodent model they did with this 3G, 4G, 5G. It was a very interesting study. Also like that, the reason was like that, the exposure and the cancerous growth and the positioning of the thing. Even though they found that it's a psychological disturbance on that organism for long term. अभी इतना जो frustration आ रहा है, depression हो रहा है, and the young people, we do not know. Maybe sometimes it will come out. It is a overuse of mobile. काम तो हम लोग करते हैं, इस एज में भी हम लोग इतना frustration नहीं है. छोटे छोटे बच्चे को जब देख रही हो कि frustration. So that way we try to sometimes find out. Maybe we are not using mobile. So we do not know. Sometimes it's a very raw thinking, but we found maybe some impact is going in your brain center, which is creating some, because these are all different senses. So if some senses are damaging, then they will start differently. So then we need many. हम लोग एकदम अंधे में हैं. We have to understand many. Research only can tell us. Radiation biology के लिए बात काफी हम Central Pollution Control Board के भी एक report है in the Bombay when there is a PIL came about the high-rise building. There are cancer in the same building, and so people created up APIL. Then only this thing. So there are very important people should now. I came that the reason living the science. Now I'm on the road. I try to tell people start. ऊपर से नहीं हो रहा है, नीचे से कर. It's a bottom-up approach. At least you change yourself. तो government change करते करते तो 2 generation निकल ही जाएंगे. So we are talking something nuisance which is going on in the government. That is not the issue. Issue is environment. We should talk environment. जो बातें अब टीवी में हम लोग देखते वो बात नहीं है in need of the hour. So sometimes it is very frustrating for that reason, not for research and science.
Then in fact, just only to say that when we talk to our agricultural scientist friend, like you have mentioned in your last slide, that what are the kind of indoor plants that we can, and we are all more or less, every one of us, we are familiar with snake plant or citrus, and so many plants are there. Money plants, of course, we have many interesting definition of money plants. So they have got the instrument, of course, not made in India, which are worth crores. They are able to check any of the plant varieties, that how much, what is the exchange, or what kind of oxygen or carbon dioxide and many other things that are releasing, they are able to quantify and measure it. So our scientific, where most of the students in academia, you see that anything that is going on in the nature, now we have been able to check that how, this chlorophyll is changing water into sugar. So we are able to replicate that process.
That is young people will do. I'm
So-
asking the young people to think
while
alike
we
and do
suggest
something.
that some indoor plants are there, so please consider that visiting Pusha. I can take you there, or you are most welcome to see that for each of the plant, whatever may be the variety, each one of you can take one of the plant and see that what kind of things it is taking, what kind of things that it is releasing. Then on the basis of the data that made by Madam Ghosh, then you can see that what is that plant have to be designed for a particular place, so that you can get more supply of oxygen, because which we know very well. And along with that, what are the other kind of say good things that it is releasing, so that we can have a good variety of the, or choiceable variety of the plants in a building wherever we are living. So for that, instruments and everything are available.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think we have a question from Ruchi. Dr. Ruchi has a question.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am, so much for your informative session, and thank you, sir, for your observations. And they were really meaningful, and I think we will be able to do something, if not much, but at least we'll be able to do something out of all the observations that you have made. I actually had a question for Parvez, sir, but he's not here, so maybe, sir, you or maybe ma'am, you can answer it. He mentioned, when he was talking about assessing lifestyles, he mentioned about understanding and quantifying disaster risk. So now my question is, then when we talk about disaster risk, the main sufferers are the people. So how do we go about quantification, understanding and quantification of people's perception about disaster risk? That is my question. The second thing that I would like, maybe ma'am or sir can elaborate upon, what are certain examples of sustainable infrastructure that we can utilize in our institutional build-up for more resilient setup? Thank you.
Yeah, very interesting question. It may go even 1 hour minimum. But ma'am,
we have the time, sir. We have the time.
So for that, let me show you one of the just Facebook post I did yesterday. Just I show that, then you'll get your some idea about that. Yeah, I'm just sharing it. Okay. I'm sharing that. I have the share right. Okay, your entire screen. Then okay.
I think there is some.
Sir, I think there is some technical issue. We can't see sir's presentation. But he's trying, I guess. Let's wait. Is Tirashri ma'am there?
I just sir दोबारा join करेंगे. Sir will join again.
मैं हूँ.
Ma'am, there is okay. Meanwhile, we can take one question from the participant for ma'am. That there is a question or a comment by Navdeep saying about the vegetation. That how we can improve the vegetation of Delhi, and vegetation. It is a thought that vegetation is important for cleaning air. How?
Can I see your face, Navdeep? It will be good for me to discuss if you are here. Can you show your face? Okay. If it is not, then only I'm telling you it's a very important thing is right now government is doing after the pledge of this ecosystem restoration. So we have to depend on the plant first as a guard and buffering. So air quality, in case of plant, it has a two role. One is the noise pollutant abatement, noise as a buffering zone, as a canopy. Second is the air pollution. There are different, I do not know your background. I wanted to see you because your background will help me to make you more discussion. The thing is that if you're botanist, then you can understand that the problem of air pollution is not one. Like as I told you, gaseous problem is there. The pollutants are there, particulate pollutants are there. Then as with the heat, climate change related global warming problem is there, CO2 emission. अब जैसे हम अलग अलग रेसिपी के अलग अलग मैनेजमेंट करते हैं, तो in case of urban pollution, what is a big word? Then we try to know first what are the problems are there in a place. If it is X city, Y city, and Z city, we are having different problems. हम एक ही plantation नहीं कर सकते. That was the mistake we are doing. We are giving more and more importance to the plant, taxonomy, indigenous, exotic, invasive. But we have to make indigenous plant, normal, local plant. But we first have to know that what type of, just like we talk about crop rotation, we have to know what type of pollutants are there. So if plantation is happening, those are sensitive. सोचो कि SO2 ज्यादा है कि NOx ज्यादा है, and this type of pollutant you have to mitigate. You cannot make any plantation. Those are sensitive. So if 1,000 plants you plant, then also they will die. So first thing is the inventarization of pollution. First thing is there. Then comes the tolerant variety. The Pacific method internationally acclaimed is the air pollution tolerance index of the plant. I was raising this issue for Chandanda. I just wanted to tell you, so Minister of Environment and Forest, such a long time, no one is listening. And it was long back when I joined in DU. So the part of my research scholars work on that time because it was not a very clear to them. Because first, if you know that carbon emission is target, then you have to make carbon sequestration based of the plant. Those are we are having CTC for plant. We have to make, because then we have a mix and match of crop and different types of plantation, and then we can. If we need the gaseous pollutant there as an oxidative stress tolerant plant, then we have to make the linkage of this thing. We need there are the two types of major group of, we all know, the deciduous and the types of the evergreen plant. Deciduous short time work karta hai. Winter time it was not there, litter falls are there. Then it will be a problem when you are not getting them for any role. So 6 months ke liye hire karenge na, sare saal ke liye. So there should be a combination of geometrical designing of the plantation. Then as I told you, pollution from the tailpipe, if the traffic is a problem, then your pollution is coming from the ground level. Then your vegetation in up high cannot manage, it will take time. Then you have to make ground level, shrub, ground grass, and canopy. If it's a chimneys, it is problem. Then you have to make high canopy buffering with that side. So industry, mining, so all zones are, if you first tag and problem, if you know, then plantation pattern. सब कुछ है. भगवान का दिया हुआ सारे plantation है. They have all capacity. We have to know the APTI of the plant, the tolerant variety. Because sensitive variety plant जो हो रहा है बार-बार, they are dying. The next summer we are again not having the plants. जो Commonwealth Games के time हुआ, उतना plantation के बाद it was not there. I think 20% or 30% remain. So these are the issues, and we told that for the VOCs, there are isoprene emission. Isoprene is a part of VOC. अब हमारे VOCs ऑलरेडी ज्यादा है, बेंजीन ज्यादा है एयर में फॉर द पेट्रोलियम. ना हम और भी VOC emitting plant क्यों plant कर रहे हैं? That was the question. Or one of our students also did. That those are accumulating or they are emitting. We need accumulating plant for the bioremediation. The plant वो dusty हो, gaseous pollutant हो, वो VOCs हो, और ये carbon. So mitigation के मतलब है remove करेंगे. Mitigation के मतलब not only the aesthetic greenery, mitigation के मतलब designing के मतलब we are the giving call for the particular position. So we can make a center कि कहीं पर जामुन का रहे. I think that the jamun was one of the beautiful plant which are having high tolerance. क्यों वो रोड में NDMC एरिया में जामुन है? ऐसे नहीं लगाए थे कोई भी ब्रिटिश. They all know that was the science we have to bring back with the designer, with the engineers with us. Then only the plantation will be successful for a city. Not like a botanist, and we as even in pollution expert also we cannot. We need designer, and designer means engineers. So then the team will be good for us. I do not know it's okay for you, or are you?
No, it's fine. Very good. Very good.
No, ma'am. And ma'am, Jai Kiran Singh has also written in the chat box from your answer that, yes, ma'am, analysis is important. Otherwise, we'll be introducing invasive species if we will not analyze the species before plantation. So that's, again, a very, very important point. Coming back to Chandan sir, you were...
Yeah, I just wanted to share one of the thing, my screen. Share, and then, okay, this screen is coming. And I wanted to go to this house. You see, this is a post number, just not even a 24 hours. In fact, like you see, this is my post. Like whatever is existing buildings are there. Now, these are the kind of structure getting very important. In fact, more than 4 decades, 5 decades ago, these materials were not being manufactured. These are called light gauge steel frame, light gauge steel. These are lighter material, but they're very strong and they are very good, friendly, galvanized. And then over this now, whoever is having the rooftop, these are very light structure. So we are, while using such kind of building frame, and over that one can make 2-story, 3-story building also like this, like this kind of buildings. Here you can see we can have an ideal way of having building like this, but we are living in an urban area, and more than 50% or whatever it is, they are coming, and urban area is there. So we have to go for now not concrete or RCC or something. 3-4 story buildings are more common, like Miranda House, and most of the buildings are of 2-story, 3-story, 4-story. And these are lightweight and no earthquake can break them. We can guarantee. Earthquake, even if coming there or in earthquake prone area, these buildings have shown a resilience. So when this building have shown resilience, and these are being made with some kind of material which are environment friendly, soundproof, fireproof. Even if you fire is there, there are some fire rating is there. For 2 hours, 3 hours, they are not going to be burned. And moreover, they can be dismantled. You see, with the time that how we are involving, this kind of building, if we dismantle, we may get certain bricks. But it is a very high cost to dismantle when we want to go for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 story. But this kind of things are dismantleable. Almost 90% of this material can be shifted to some other places. So look at the current upsurge of living economically as well as disaster safe, which is the main theme of this area. So we can go 2, 3, 4 story building with such kind of light frame, and then we ensure that earthquake is not going to affect, or moreover, proper ventilation with windows and everything can be made. And whatever spaces that being created, they are much more than the space created by like concrete building, which we cannot give any guarantee to the earthquake safety to such kind of thing. Whereas earthquake safety and fire safety, which are the 2 themes here, can be guaranteed to certain extent, that to this kind of building. So one thing is that while many of us going for adding more floor legally or illegally, but at least we can think of some of the modern technology that where all these material things are available, then we can go some kind of extension upward or sideward safely with proper expertise. This is what I have written. Those who are fortunate enough in possessing the top floor of houses as seen in the picture may be encouraged. No, I'm not advocating this lightweight steel frame LGFS construction, which have the potential to act safely against external forces like earthquake or even fire, wind, but with the condition that right experts are engaged for the same. There is heavy competition in the market, yet demand are skyrocketing now. This is one aspect. Then another aspect is sick building syndrome and other things. The kind of urban living, that sustainability, that second part of your question. Recently, we have visited in one of the South Delhi mall. Just only yesterday, day before yesterday, we have visited there. And for maintaining such kind of this sustainability aspect, you look at what I have written about me for the first time noted in the city mall, in a city mall in South Delhi, you know, how clean, modern, bumper guards are also there. You see this kind of bumper guards. And guard with light sensitive paints are here. If electricity goes off, these will be showing the light so that no accident happens. Even electricity goes off. Walking truck, like this is a walking truck with a very nice placed things that it is there. You know, that kind of cost and the color and all this decoration, putting such kind of signature, how much cost that it is involved, and giving and maintaining it so clean. I have not seen, at least you might have seen, such a clean parking space, which is far, far better than the people, crores of people living on the street. But what they think, because in the mall, whatever they are trying to economize or sustainability depends on what is the price that each of the shoppers or each of the restaurant that they're charging to us. So we think that in a one city mall here like this, they are maintaining certain sustainability by bringing all this kind of modern technologies over here. Do you think that it is really sustainable? And for parking our car for 3+ hours, we paid only 80 rupees, which is about $1, you can say. Can we think of the same in countries whose income or GDP are at least 5 times of ours? So paying parking fee at least equivalent time of the same duration. If you think that American income for us is at least 5 times more than ours, so they will be paying 5 times of 80 rupees. But do you think that that gives the sustainability? I'm giving only an example that how sustainability has to be defined based on the applications that we have made, based on the technology that we have improvised, and the kind of revenue that they are getting from the parking only 80 rupees, which is nothing enough, not enough, but the kind of sale products that they are, and the amount of money that they are charging from the people that who are visiting there. So sustainability is not only in terms of sick building syndrome or the kind of fantastic facilities that we are making over here. It is also involving with the financial economy, GDP, and many other things. So that is what that I wanted to just convey, not giving direct answer, just only try to show you that that how in our social media or using some such kind of interpretation, many of you might be excelling in bringing such new dimensions into our thought process while looking at the disaster management and disaster risk, especially looking into the earthquake or fire that for today's seminar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your point of views about sustainability and new technologies that are required for better infrastructure. and how they can generate revenue. That is also very important when we talk about sustainability. With this, we have come to the end of the first day of our training program. And I would like to thank to our speakers, Parvez sir and Ghosh ma'am, and to all our participants for such an interactive session. We all look forward to discuss and learn more about disaster resilient built up structure in tomorrow's session, where we will be having lectures by Dr. Rakesh Arya and Dr. Hari Kumar on risk assessment and mapping, and on components of a disaster management plan in an educational institution. At the end, I just want to request all of you to kindly switch on the camera for the group photograph.
Can you see Supreet, and they have raised their hand.
Okay.
Can you
Yeah,
see
it's
the query?
Priyanka, can I just add one thing?
Yeah, sure.
Sir, I mean, Ashok sir, Supreet sir, I would just like to apologize on behalf of the organizing team that due to a lack of time, we cannot take more questions. If it would be very kind of you if you could mail your questions to the
Says them
CES
ID.
mail, and we will make sure you get the answers to your comments and queries. And we'll have to call it off. The discussions are very interesting and they will go on, but we have 2 more days and we'll have to do the discussions there. Thank you.
Right. I think you can get the SESDEM email ID in the brochure and the information that we have given you. We have already
all of them have SESDEM IDs
Right.
in their mail. So please mail your
Yeah,
questions.
please.
Supreet,
Dhingra Saab, please. Unko.
Dhingra Saab and Supreet can also do
Please.
that.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Thank you,
Welcome,
sir.
welcome. Namaste.
And
So can we have that group photo if everyone is
yeah,
on
everyone
in the
can
frame?
switch on their camera so we can have a group photograph.
So as many as
We can't see,
possible.
ma'am.
Tirashri ma'am, you have to switch on the camera. I think ma'am has switched off the camera.
People are facing network issues as well.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone?
I think there are a lot of people who now want to ask questions, but we are extremely sorry. We will definitely take up your questions. You just mail it on SESDEM ID and we'll be definitely asking our experts to answer those questions.
So keep ready for tomorrow. Every day we are having half an hour at least question answer, and keep ready for tomorrow. Or you can write in the chat box, because it is all being recorded, which can be taken up tomorrow before start of the session. Whatever questions are there, you can write in the chat box also.
And at the end, sir, especially I want to thank Professor Chandan Ghosh, sir. You are such a pillar for our institute, and your talks and your suggestions are always encouraging us to do more and more, good work that we can do with our best potential. Thank you so much, sir, for always being there for us.
Thank you so much. So
Thank you.
Principal ma'am is there if you want to say a few words, ma'am.
No, it's a hugely learning experience, and I have been moving from one venue to the other for other things, but I have been glued, to the program. I learned so much. I hope we will be able to do a lot with Miranda House when it comes to. We will fulfill our commitment, sir, towards you and to ma'am to take this initiative forward. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Officially, I just call off the meeting. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Should I leave then?
Yes,
Okay, should I leave?
We can do it tomorrow.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.